They're getting fired up in Hot Topics. From John Gosling's girlfriend complaining about his mantrums to Elizabeth revealing her secret crush. And the shocking crime the whole nation's talking about. A crowd watched a 15-year-old get gang raped and did nothing about it. Plus, Wanda Sykes is telling the co-host about marrying her longtime girlfriend, being a new mom of twins, and shaking up the late-night boys club with her new show. And for the very first time on The View, Sting's here to talk about 3 decades of making groundbreaking music and hitting the stage to sing his latest hit, Soul King. All that, Hot Topics, and more coming up live on The View.
To The View. Now, before we do anything else, let's talk about the first game of the World Series. It didn't go the way some of us thought it would. No. Because the Yankees lost to the Phillies 6-1, in large part because Phillies pitcher Cliff Lee had the game of his life last night. Yeah. Did you see that catch? Did you see that catch?
George that catch. Look at that.
I am in love with that guy, whoever he is.
He caught the ball behind him.
I mean, to catch a ball behind your back, it's like so sexy.
That's very sexy.
Very sexy.
That's pure instinct.
And then he just walked away, you know, like, hey, aren't I fabulous, you know?
Well, after that catch, you should feel pretty fabulous,
you can do behind your back. That's yeah.
As long as you don't do it behind other people's back.
That's right.
It's okay.
Right.
But, you know, there's several games to go. Didn't go our way last night, but it might go our way tonight. You just never know, so hang in there.
Well, we're in New Yorkers, but there's a lot of people here from Philadelphia, so they're rooting for
people like Philly. Even folks from Philly. We like all of them. We like everybody.
We even yesterday had some of the Phillies' wives.
Yes, we did.
How many games are there in the World Series? Because I'm seeing every one of them. This is my first, really, since I was 12, interested in baseball.
You're born again.
I am a born-again Yankees fan is what it is. How many games?
Isn't it 7? Is it 7 games? Yeah.
7.
4 out of 7.
Best of 7.
Oh.
No, it's 4 out of 7.
Ladies, good for you. Congratulations.
You couldn't do it tonight? You might not, but you might. But we don't know. That's why it's fun.
Yeah.
Listen, Elizabeth, you have developed a crush on somebody.
I have.
What the hell?
I spent last night with one remarkable man that wasn't my husband. Actually, 2, I'll say.
Wow.
2 men. One was my dad, because he invited me to this event, and it was the launch of a World Youth Peace Summit. And what it does is it brings kids from all different countries through athletics and art together to talk about world issues. And Colin Powell was there to kick it off. And we shared a table, or I should say I shared a table with him, because it was an honor to just sit with him. He was able to speak to us, and I have not heard someone talk about peace in a way that he did. Yeah. He did it without disdain for this country and about our role in the world. And he talked about everything from the Iron Curtain and Gorbachev to Twitter.
Yeah.
And he did such a fantastic job, was so motivational. Right. It was so motivational, and the promise that is being kept to these kids that they can and should have a great role in this world to keep it peaceful. And for him to be there and promise to be there in 2011 was amazing. Total crush on Colin Powell.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Barbara has a crush on him, too, so I would watch my step.
Can we share, Barbara? Well, it's an innocent crush.
You don't.
Hers is not an innocent crush.
He is, I have to say, he is quite something. And you know, it broke my heart when he wasn't running.
Yeah, me too.
When he decided not to run, because I really had a lot of behind him. I got a tiny crush. You know, I don't get crushes off, but I had a curve on him.
You had a curl?
He's crushable.
Yeah.
He's crushable.
Now, something to really much more serious and much more sort of thought-provoking. The headline people are still trying to get their heads around these days is the 15-year-old California girl who was gang raped in front of dozens of people who did nothing about it. Technically, the crowd didn't break the law, because the law says that you're only required to report a sexual assault if the victim is 14 or younger. This young woman was 15. But the idea that all these people were standing there
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
There is something called the bystander effect, where you're less likely to do something if you're in a group.
Yeah. If there's
you think someone else will do it.
There are, the less likely you are.
Right. Well, it reminds us all of the Kitty Genovese, which happened in the 60s. People probably remember it. And people were in, you don't remember that, but
no, I do. But I'm saying some
Kew
people
Gardens, New York, right in Queens, in New York City, and a woman was attacked on the street. Her name was Kitty Genovese. She was killed, and people were watching from their windows, and nobody picked up the phone. I mean, a lot of people watched it, and no one picked up the phone.
Everybody thought
they must have thought somebody else was going to do it, or they were struck, they were stunned.
Or,
I don't know.
Sometimes people feel that if they do something, they're going to get involved, and they don't want to get involved. But, in that day and age, you kind of go, wow, the telephone is there. But in this day and age where people are Twittering, I'm sitting on the can.
But that's the
Why
thing.
wouldn't you Twitter or send a message saying, police help?
In this instance, which is such a shame, is people were Twittering, but they were Twittering about, not to the police, they were Twittering about the incident and what had occurred.
During?
During. And the only time somebody reported it, a woman overheard two witnesses talking about it.
What is it?
But I wanted to say, it came back to me. I saw on television, it was some psychologist, and she was saying that all it would have taken is for one person to say, wait a minute, stop. And it would have jolted that crowd out of that whatever stupor they were in.
Shifted the mob mentality.
No, they're afraid that if they say something like that, the rest of them will turn on him.
What's the law? What's the law if you witness? Are you culpable if you witness to something like this and do not call the police? If the girl's 15, then they have no responsibility?
They have no responsibility.
There was a case of, you remember the little boy Darion Albert in Chicago who was trying to go home from school. This was just a few weeks ago, and he got caught between a gang fight, and both gangs beat him to death. And they taped it. Some kids taped it on the cell phone, but nobody came and tried to help him.
But I guess that goes to the bigger question. What the hell is going on out there? What have we created in our children where they don't know that what they're seeing is so heinous?
Fear. I'll tell you,
that they should be talking to
I think you're onto it, because I think a lot of parents for maybe the past decade or so, we've kind of been in a mind your own business phase, I think, of the world, where it's like, okay, that's their problem. It might be more dangerous for you to help somebody. Whereas I think before maybe the past 10 years, there was the idea that you help your neighbor. And we've sort of lost that idea of neighborhood. We're so obsessed in these little tiny devices all about me that we've lost the idea that we can actually help someone without endangering ourselves.
Let me ask you this, because a member of our staff recently discovered that one of her neighbors, a young man, who's a kid, really, is smoking pot when his parents aren't around because it's coming up and coming through the building. And she's struggling over what she should do about it. Should she tell their parents? Should she deal with them? What do you think?
When I was in my dressing room, and I just kept thinking about this. As a parent, I would be very upset if I knew that Jeffrey was getting high and you did not tell me. Because if something, God forbid, happened,